Welcome to Potter Revisited, episode 37. I'm Tori.
And I'm Shay.
And today we are watching the Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets movie for our movie review.
And I chose this moment where we started recording to start eating snacks because I'm an idiot.
Fine. This is a more relaxed podcast, and it's also a video podcast. So you can be watching this on YouTube and seeing our faces and our fantastic backgrounds. Or you can just listen to the audio, as usual, wherever you listen to your podcasts. So let's jump into this movie. And I just want to say before we started that I think Chamber of Secrets is probably my favorite Harry Potter movie.
Oh, interesting.
I just think that I like how I talk about why I like Chamber of Secrets, the book, is that it's like you're not doing all like the learning Harry has to do in the first book. Everything's kind of established. Mm-hmm. So I like coming back into the movie where everything's still kind of established, but we're learning more. And also I just like the mystery. And I think it's also the fact that this is the first movie I saw in theaters, as I said in our last episode. Yeah. So it's just like seeing it, it's just like a comfort movie. I also like the earlier movies, as I said before, because I like how just like they're very innocent and they're just like really happy, like very comforting movies compared to like the later movies where things are a bit more serious. Yeah. The early ones, I kind of miss having it. Just like, just classic, Dursley shenanigans.
It makes you appreciate Harry's Hogwarts life more when you get tidbits of what his non-Hogwarts life is like.
Yeah. Just, Dursley's being awful. as usual.
Also, that cake Petunia's making looks disgusting. Like, it looks like it's like Jell-O cake. I don't know. It does not look appealing.
Yeah. It looks like it's made of like all icing.
And cherries. And that's just the worst.
Cherries are the worst. I always find it so interesting that, like, I'll talk a lot about this movie, but, like, the idea of, like, practical effects and special effects, and how Dobby's a bit of both. But generally, most times that we see Dobby, it's a special effect, and Daniel Radcliffe is acting with a tennis ball on a stick.
I love that.
Iconic. I really do miss the fact that, like, most movies now, everything with, like, this would just be, like, computer-generated. And I think in the later movie, when Dobby comes back, you can tell that he's very CGI.
Yeah.
And it takes away from just, like the heart of it.
Yeah.
And I'm just seeing Dobby like this, where he's like, he looks real, and I just feel like he looks better than like any kind of CGI thing they do now. And I miss that most movies now are just like, we can just do that in CGI instead of attempting to do any kind of practical effect.
I think for me, Lord of the Rings is the best example of that. There were so much practical effects in the 3 Lord of the Rings films, and then when they did the Hobbit films, they used CGI for a bunch of stuff, and it did not look as good.
Because like you can just tell. Yeah. I also think like this came out in like 2002, and like this still looks good. Like like a lot of older movies, like you can tell when things like are kind of like they don't hold up, but this like holds up, and it's almost 20 years old. So like
Dobby stresses me out so much. Like, this gives me so much anxiety trying to be quiet so you don't get in trouble and having someone whacking their head on things. Like, it has so much stress.
I do feel like you said that a lot reading like Chamber of Secrets, that Dobby stressed you out, but I don't think I really got it until seeing the movie and like how much anxiety Dobby gives me in the movie.
I'm so
like,
stressed
just
out.
Seeing it. So kind of manipulative. He's like, you shouldn't go back to Hogwarts because I'm just going to get you in trouble, and also your friends don't love you anymore.
I mean, he has good intentions.
Yeah, I guess.
Terrible things happen.
Yeah, I just can't get over how good Dobby looks here compared to Deathly Hallows.
Yeah. I also think how good young Dan Rad is doing this acting, considering that it's just a tennis ball.
It's quite impressive. Like, yeah, it's just like a tennis ball. Like, they did make versions of Dobby that are like real for certain scenes, but most of the time when he's acting, it's with just like a tennis ball, just because that's where they're going to put him in like the scenes. But yeah, for a 12-year-old, like, who's very relatively like a young actor, he does really well at this.
Yeah.
Speaking of anxiety.
Yeah.
I do think like this really encapsulates what they're going for in the book, just like complete chaos. Because I think in the book it's just kind of weird, all these things happening, where it's just very deliberate.
I love how so magic. I like the way he snaps and there's a little puff of smoke. Like, they make it look so like kind of cute and whimsical in this movie.
Yeah, this whole scene, I think, is very much anxiety driven. Like
I think the worst effect is the like gray fluff under the cake that's supposed to be like the magic air.
I think a lot of like fantasy films in like this era did like the like smoke, like, whimsical like magic smoke. Like, it's very prominent in the genre.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I do like all the effects of Dahlia, like how he disapparates and everything, like
Mm-hmm.
really good. Like we talked about in the book when we were reading this, like how does no one see this happening in real life? Be like, that's kind of
A
weird.
fire hazard. That is such a fire hazard. They're not doing a good job of fitting in with their neighbors if they're putting bars on their back windows.
I like the little like props in the background. Like you can see here in the scene with Harry waking up before the Weasleys come. He has like a book called like Witch Owl on
Yeah.
his bedside. Like there's like just the little things make it so
Yeah.
much more whimsy. Also, speaking of the practical effects, like all the stuff in the car, especially those look really good too.
Mm-hmm. I love this part. I love
Like
this part in the
all
book. I love
that
this part
now
in the
would
movie.
be all that now would be like CG, and this
Yeah.
is like I like how they did like a mix of practical and special effects. And I do know that Chris Columbus, like he spent this movie, they filmed it like basically right as they finished the first movie. They went right into filming this, which
Mm-hmm.
actually I think worked out with the kids because they don't look too much older
Yep.
compared to Prisoner of Azkaban, where there's like a big time jump.
Yeah. Puberty hit hard.
Yeah. But so they like wrapped the first movie, and then like 3 days later they went into the first this movie.
The second
But
movie,
he
yeah.
also knew kind of like what special effects from the first movie worked, which ones didn't. So he did like all like the ones that didn't need special effects. They filmed
Mm-hmm.
those first, and then they filmed all like the special effects scenes in the later half. So like the effects team had longer to work on them, which I
Mm-hmm.
think really speaks well to how well this film like does with that stuff.
I feel like Harry should have packed the owl first because it's like a living thing and a friend.
Yeah, I feel like I don't know, maybe it's a boy thing because I feel like the first thing I think about when I'm going somewhere is okay, putting my cat in the carrier.
Yeah. A boy thing. It just,
It's also like his age too. Like when I
yeah,
was
I guess.
12, you probably don't really think about that kind of
Because,
stuff.
like, you're rich and stuff. Just, like, order some new clothes when you get to Hogwarts. But can't order a new Hedwig.
Yeah, I know. Iconic.
He's really lucky those shrubs broke his fall because that could have been, like,
I love the zanies of the Dursleys. Just like a little bit
really
of comic
bad.
relief before they leave. Also, the score in here is just great.
Is beautiful. It's beautiful music.
That's also the reasons I like the earlier movies for, like just like the score and like everything.
So good.
So good.
Oh, yeah, sure, it's his birthday. That's a fun
Yeah.
birthday. I wish, like, the Weasley twins would come rescue me out of a window on my birthday.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, our birthdays are in winter though, so I don't know how well the car would handle that.
Mm.
Also, here we
Also,
have the Weasley's house, which
gorgeous.
I love. I love how
Gorgeous.
they interpreted it. Just like a little farmhouse with just like things piled on top of it, and it looks like it's gonna fall over.
Yeah.
Amazing. And like, yeah, I just feel like they did the Weasley's house so perfect. Just like this little like farmhouse chic, where it's just like everything's just like spilling out of it.
I love the window. The like lift up a window above the half door to
Yeah.
get in their house. That's so goofy and very Weasley.
And
And
also like how they had like the practical and magic special effects like for like because this is like his first time being in a house that's like a magic house like
yeah, so
and
you
there's
have
just
to
like
notice all the
casual
little
magic.
details.
And the little Weasley clock, I want one so bad. And it's only me in my household, so I just
It's
tell
just
me
where
I
am
was.
I?
Yeah,
You
where am
know
I?
where you
Oh,
are if you
I
can see your
guess I
clock
could-
because you're at home if you have
Yeah.
your clock.
I guess they could do it for Nimbus too.
Like a Find My Friends app that hooks up to
Yeah.
your clock.
That'd be cool.
I think it's brilliant too, Harry.
Also, we have kind of a more focus on
Happy.
Julie Walters.
The greatest.
Amazing. I just think I know it from the special. They talked about like how well like her and Mr. Weasley did it, just like incorporating the kids as basically like their own kids, like they were their own family,
Yeah.
which I think is really nice for like adults to do for child actors because it is such like a weird situation.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my
Your
God.
window.
But yeah, yeah. I love the Weasleys so much.
Yeah. Oh
And
my
we
God,
have
poor
Bonnie
Ginny.
Wright's like first like entrance.
Ginny's whole life is like trauma. I feel so bad for
Yeah.
her.
Her whole life is trauma. Little Jenny, so cute.
Like, I'm traumatized.
I
She had
like
a bad
I
enough
like
year
how-
last year, and nobody warns her that her crush is in her house. Ugh.
Brothers can't cope with them. I do like how Fred and George here look and they're like, they just know. Like the
Mhm.
whole family just knows. And Harry's like, oh my God, I hurt her feelings.
Well, she wasn't subtle with the whole like dwarf singing on Valentine's Day situation last year.
That's true.
This year.
Aren't you
That's this
happy
year.
they
That
cut
hasn't
that out
happened
of the
yet.
movie?
That hasn't happened yet. Time is weird.
But wouldn't you have done if they had kept that in the movie?
Oh, thrown up probably. Just like
Like, Mark Williams looks so good here. I watch Father Brown a lot, so he looks so different.
Yeah, I've seen that too.
I just like time. It doesn't feel like it's like 2002. 2002 feels like 10 years ago to me. And
Yeah,
it's not 10
it
years
was
ago.
20 years ago.
We're all old and we're all dying.
Oh my
Okay,
god,
flip
Harry's so
Potter.
dumb in this. This drives me nuts. I'm like, just speak properly like a regular person, Potter.
I mean, I do give movie Harry credit, book Harry credit, I should say, because in the book he swallowed some like soot or something, and so he was coughing. But in here, Harry's just being dumb.
Just dumb.
I mean, I do find it weird that the Weasleys were just like, yeah, like you could take flu powder, like you've never done it before, but it'll be fine.
Like,
What
to
can go
me,
wrong?
it makes no sense to me that you can't do like two at a time. Like, if you had a toddler who can't speak well, you'd have to bring them with you. Why not have him go with like one of the Weasley parents or like a Percy or someone responsible?
At this point, it's just like it just affects the plot. Yeah, the special effects here and stuff, like the fire and everything, amazing. It just feels so cohesive. I think it's why Prisoner of Azkaban always really stands out, especially after this movie, because it's just so stylistic and it's just completely different styles.
Yeah, it feels like a music video, Prisoner of Azkaban.
Yeah, it just feels everything's just like the style is so different. Like, I mean, the book is darker, but you go from Christopher Columbus, who's doing like a kids movie, to like Alfonso, who he had a very stylistic vision for it, and also the kids are older. The book's more dark, but it's just like it just completely disconnects from like this one to the other one.
I love this part. I love seeing all the spooky, scary, dark magic artifacts. Like, if I were a wizard or a witch, this would be like the basement of my house, so I'd have a whole room of like ancient evil artifacts.
Yeah, Shayna's just gonna have some dark effects in her secret chamber at her
Absolutely.
future house.
It's my future.
Yeah, I do like all the creepy like effects and stuff. Like, I feel like the set design's always really good in these, especially in the first two movies, just like kind of setting like the example for like this is the wizarding world and these are like just things that are around. So creepy, but so good.
It's just such a cool shop. Like, I wanna
And then going
be
out to
there.
Nocturne Alley and just like I just like how like dark and like dingy, kind of like East End London, like in like the Victorian times it looks, compared to Diagon Alley, which is very bright and like shiny, and
you could see Jack the
nice.
Ripper walking around a corner, sort of the way they.
I miss the deleted scene they have where Lucius actually comes in when Harry's in like the cupboard.
Yeah,
which is so good.
Especially because it's the cupboard.
Yeah, back in the cupboard, but I'll talk about Jason Isaac's acting a bit later.
Harry's like, I don't know what I'm doing down here, Hagrid.
Help me, Hagrid. Help me. Yeah, you see how dark it is, and then cutting back out, everything's just so much lighter and brighter.
Yeah, and you can see the transition, like right here where they...
Yeah, they walk around the corner, and it's just like light.
Suddenly a yellow
just
window
so happy.
frame.
Yeah, everything, like all the colors are brighter and everything. Ever since I learned that like Robbie Coltrane like only did like the face of Hagrid, and then they had a stunt double for like hit any kind of height scenes, it always throws me off. Because you can see like the cuts and everything. He's
almost more of a dub. The double almost does more work as Hagrid than the actual Hagrid. Like,
can't believe they have Hermione doing magic outside of school here.
Like that's against the law, Hermione.
Hermione's a rebel.
Goddamn, breaking the rules in public, in front of a teacher. Prison. Imagine they just whisk her off to Azkaban. That's it.
Yeah, and then speaking of, I love like the bookstore, like everyone's just crammed in here. We'll get our first look at Gilderoy Lockhart in a few minutes.
I think one of the funny things about Gilderoy Lockhart is that actor directed Thor. Like, Marvel movies, this guy.
I feel like it kind of almost humanizes Gilderoy, like the way he acts. Like, he's not a complete dumbass like Gilderoy is in the books, but he just kind of gives a face to it. And so I guess it's more like realistic. Because I think reading some of the Gilderoy stuff, I'm like, this is just like, it doesn't feel real until you kind of put a face to it, and then it kind of feels a bit more real.
It kind of gives me like a Wizard of Oz vibe, where like he's the great and powerful Oz you see in the front, but really on the inside, Gilderoy Lockhart's the little bald guy hiding in the back.
Exactly.
Molly. She totally was there for that.
I love Rupert's face.
I just wish they'd casted Gilderoy Lockhart as hot. Like, maybe, like, if they want both Molly Weasley to find him attractive and Hermione to find him attractive, he should have looked
I mean, you generally
handsomer.
have a thing for older men, so
So if I don't find him handsome, they should have done. Like, the actor does great, but I just like I can't believe Hermione and Molly both going when he walks out. You know,
I mean, each their own, I guess.
I guess, but it's like I don't know, man. Ginny isn't into it though. She's like, I only have eyes for Harry Potter.
Yeah, her one true love. Got yourself good. I love this entrance of Lucius. Like,
Yeah, his friggin' fancy snake wand.
yeah. And just the way he has it, like his voice, it's like a little whisper, and it comes off saying like he's polite, but he's just like crossing boundaries. And we kind of get the vibe that he's not a good guy.
He's so slimy, but at the same time, he's such a politician. He comes across as so, like, his movements and his whisper and his tone of voice.
Yeah. Yeah, Jason Isaacs really, like, went for it. Like, I know he originally auditioned for, like, Gilderoy, but, like, I'm so glad he ended up as Lucius.
I find him hotter than Gilderoy. Like, if we're doing, like, a who's gonna make us swoon, I think. But maybe I just like, I don't know, the vibe of evil.
The vibe of evil.
Oh my, I'm so into that evil vibe.
You learned something new about yourself.
I don't know if that's new. But no, I'm not actually. But, like, just visually speaking, like, I think he has a handsomer face if we're all going to be swooning and asking for autographs.
Yeah.
I love that hat on Arthur, like a proper, like,
Yeah.
goofy.
I think that part I miss about, like, when they get to the older movies is they kind of stray away from, like, the wizard dress.
The
and most of the
goofiness.
kids are just in, like, their, like
Jeans.
muggle clothes most of the time if they're not in their school robes. And I'm like, but if they're in the wizarding world, like, they should be wearing, like, cool robes. Yeah. I still kind of wish that they got into a scuffle like they did in the book. I just think it'd be really funny to see Jason Isaacs and Mark Williams.
I feel like he'd have very smooth motions. I feel like Arthur's, like, blunt, and Lucius is, like, using his arm to move Arthur's arm out of the way, and, you know, I don't know, like, smooth motions versus
Malfoy comes just across as just very generic bully.
What a beautiful train station.
Yeah. Now I can relate to this, like, rush of trying to catch the train.
Yeah,
as someone who lives in, like,
a
commuter city. I like how they just leave Harry and Ron there. Like,
yeah, it's so, like, kind of negligent. They're 12. You know? They're like, we gotta, like, I get it. It's Ginny's turn to have attention paid to her for once. But, like, they neglected Harry friggin' Potter and poor Ron. This is some 12-year-old logic.
Yeah, just like this 12-year-old logic, like, oh, we missed the train, so let's just steal my parents' car so we can get to school on time.
Like, send an owl to Dumbledore, like, say you're gonna be late.
Where you see the car in, like, London and stuff, it just looks so good for being, like, done, like, with green screen and stuff. Like, most times you can kind of tell in a lot of shows where, like, there's a car, there's the green screen behind it, you can just tell it's not real. But this looks, like, pretty. Like, I wouldn't have been able to tell this until I was older. Yeah, I love all the scenes in the car.
Yeah.
It looks amazing.
I love the scenery underneath. It's so beautiful.
Yeah. I actually kind of love the shenanigans they do. Like, mostly in the book, it's just kind of telling us, oh, they're just driving to school, and it's kind of boring. But here, like, Harry almost falls out of, like, the car, and almost falls into the train. They just get run over by the train and everything. It's just a great way to build some kind of, like, excitement as, like, we kind of lead into traveling to Hogwarts to getting to Hogwarts. Yeah, Harry falls out. Bye, Harry.
And that's how the series ends. Like, 20 minutes into the second movie. And the other books are all about Neville Longbottom.
Yeah, the real chosen one. I do think that, like, Rupert and Dan had really good, like, partnership in this movie. Like, you
and
can
facial expressions.
They really act off each other really well. They spend most of the movie together. Like, Emma Watson, unfortunately, is not really in it that much because she gets petrified. But I feel like they really got, like, it really feels like Harry and Ron, like, really close friends, just, like, joking with each other, and having to rely on each other and everything. I just love this opening scene of Hogwarts.
Yeah.
Iconic, as you can see in my background.
Gorgeous.
Whomping Willow comes out. I feel like this is
It womps.
iconic. Just like, yeah, the imagery that just works really well.
It's very angry.
Yeah.
It's a very opinionated tree, and I would like that. Like,
I
it
mean, if
stands
I
up
was
for
a tree
itself.
and someone had crashed into me, I'd be pretty peeved off too.
Yeah. It's funny for me because in like other fantasy, when there are like trees that are sentient, it's like the Ensign Tolkien, who are these sort of slow moving, wise, peaceful until you really screw with them, like
Yeah.
ancient beings. And then we've got just this one angry tree here. It's so different. I just think Fred and George deserve to have an entrance like this because Fred and George would have milked it and owned it and been proud of it and like.
I think like a lot of things wouldn't have gone wrong if Fred and George were there.
Yeah.
They weren't being very sneaky.
No, they're kind of idiots, but I mean, they're 12.
They don't even have their uniforms on. How are they going to blend in?
He looks so. Okay, I just. The exposure of what now?
Oh, God.
I love a man who respects trees. The way he moves here, like so hunched over, and like his hands are crawling like spiders.
I wonder how
kind
early
of
on
like
J.K. Rowling told him about like Snape's
body
like
language.
I love Richard Harris as Dumbledore.
Yeah. Snape already knows Dumbledore's about to
he's
let
like
Harry be the primary source of all things and bend the rules for him. Snape's like, oh, you're so weak, Minerva.
I also miss all like just like the exterior shots of Hogwarts that they do. Like they do a lot of transition shots for like the castle in this movie.
I find there's such inconsistency across movies with the architecture and layout of the castle, though.
They changed it. It's
I mean, I get that they want it to look spookier at different times, but they could have changed like the colors and the toning and like smaller details. The whole shape of the castle changes.
It just changes as like directors take over because the first two movies are Christopher Columbus, so he kind of started off this vision of what Hogwarts going to look like, and then Alfonso took over, and then he had more of like a stylistic version of what the cast would look like, and then we had the next one, and like David Heyman did like the last three movies, so that he had like his vision for what the cast would look like, and it kind of changes over time. They keep some things to keep consistent, but it's kind of different. And we always forget that they made Matthew Lewis wear a fat suit and like false teeth, and they made his like ears stick out like on purpose for like basically the whole series. And the last movie they're like, you know what, you don't need that anymore.
They're like, oh shit, we've read the book now, we know he turns out important, let's make him hot.
Let's make him
gotta
hot.
sell some Neville action figures, you know. Percy and Miss Clearwater.
Ooh, off to go do some canoodling.
Like math homework, probably.
Wait, what does Percy do for dates?
Math, probably.
Math. I love the introduction of Colin here. He's so annoying in the books.
He drives me nuts.
Looks so nice. Oh, I love the Howler and the... I feel like the Howler in the movie is doing more for comic relief. But in the book,
it's terrifying.
It feels more terrifying and just more like important because you kind of take the fact that like Harry feels really bad about it, but here it's just more done for comic relief. And you're like, oh, bad for Ron, but it's still kind of funny. But in the book, they kind of emphasize the fact that Mr. Weasley's in like really big trouble, and he's been like fined money, and his job's on the line, and like it's very serious. But here it's just like, oh, Ron's getting told off by his mom. Ha.
Yeah, public embarrassment. Ron, run out of the room. Run out of that great hall. Don't listen to it there.
I mentioned this at the beginning, but another reason why this is probably my favorite movie is that for my 10th birthday party, I made all my friends recreate this movie. Like, we filmed it and everything.
How was I not invited to that? I guess I was...
It's before we were 4 friends, probably.
But that's
I'm a year ahead of you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I made my whole family, including like my sister and my brother, be a part of it, and probably why I went to television, because I just got to boss my whole family and all my friends around.
It's the dream.
But yeah, I need to find that sometime. But yeah, I made them recreate this whole movie. That was my 10th birthday.
That's a good birthday.
Yeah.
Who were you? Who did you play
I was
as?
Hermione, obviously.
Who was Brittany?
My sister was, she's a few, like, she was Moaning Myrtle, and then she's a few, like, just, like, behind-the-scenes characters.
Okay. Like that he's a painting of himself, painting of himself.
Yeah, I love the, like, just, like, the little, like, touches in the classroom just to show just, like, how conceited he is. Like, he has, like, pictures of, like, him painting himself and just, like, all these different pictures of him and, like, various different, like, outfits and everything.
Yeah. Had so many frame photos of himself. He has to have multiple easels set up.
Yeah. Also, there's a deleted scene for this one where he's giving the quiz about himself, and it's so funny because it's like Harry like reading it, and it's like, "What is Gilderoy Lockhart's favorite color?" And they're all just like, "What the hell?"
Obviously, it's lilac.
Yeah.
I like the way he dresses. It's appropriately wizardy, and it makes me really happy. Like the ascot, the multiple layers, the cloak.
Yeah, I feel like the earlier scenes they really set off just like wizarding style where it's very clearly like still magical, but I feel like later on I feel like it's too streetwear. That might just be like, the way fashion has come out where it's just more like, I don't know, unique and stuff. But back then it just feels like what a wizard would wear.
Yeah.
Iconic. There's this really great deleted scene where like Harry's talking to Hedwig and he's like, "What am I, Hedwig? Who am I?" No, it's like, "Who am I, Hedwig? What am I?" When he thinks like he's like related to Slytherin.
Yeah, I look at they don't know how to show it on his face, so they make him monologue with the owl.
To Hedwig.
Why do they make all the Slytherin dudes so, I don't know, like they're all wearing fake teeth and
well, I think it's just like I feel like in earlier movies like you always had to have a really very clear bully character and they had to not look good, so they always had like a certain look about them where you had to know that they were like the bad guy because they looked like there was a very big stereotype of like what bullies looked like back in like, the early
thugs.
2000s.
Flint looks like exactly
like that's what bully characters looked like. They always looked like they had the big teeth and like they had this certain like I don't know. I think Draco gets off that because he's supposed to be like a rich guy, so they kind of put that more. But we know that he's the bully in the series. I love this scene. Hermione's just like telling Draco off.
What kind of spell is eat slugs? How does that make anything happen? It's not a real spell.
Yeah, I don't know what Ron's paying attention to.
Yeah, because like
see, here's going back to practical effects because these were like real slugs. Like obviously, like the moving of them was all like done on a computer, but like he actually physically was spitting up slugs. Like they weren't that
big though, right?
No, that's all done. But like most times, anything like that would be like you would be doing it practically.
Yeah, it would be like candies or something.
Yeah, poor Ron though.
Yeah, though eat slugs again, like it should be like a whimsical Latin sounding spell. Eat slugs. I'm surprised he even got slugs out of it.
Yeah, here we have the moment where Ron's supposed to be having a moment explaining things, but they give it to Hermione instead.
Because gotta let Hermione be
knows
smart.
Everything.
Hermione's the only smart one, so she has to have all the smart people moments.
Hermione can know things, not Ron. I do remember Emma was saying like in like the 20-year anniversary that this is like her big like acting moment where she's supposed to get like a bit weepy.
Her big moment.
Yeah, her big bit of acting. And she's got a little bit of tears in her eyes.
I love how he just repeats the word to ask what it is.
Yeah.
Just like
Harry's a bit clueless.
Yeah,
I like Hermione just like, you know, like we get as the audience, this is like a really bad thing.
It's really good facial acting from Rupert Grint.
Yeah, he like I always feel bad that Rupert had to do a lot of like comedic acting and we didn't get to really see like him do anything kind of serious like Ron gets because he just play serious roles. Like I'm pretty sure he's in like a serious role right now on Apple TV. I can't remember the show name, but like
he was in an episode of Guillermo del Toro's Cabinet of Curiosities on Netflix, and he did a really good job, and he played a serious character.
Yeah, but you know he does comedic acting really well, and like and props for that. He does I think a lot it's of crazy stuff.
How we get the context here, we learn about mudbloods. Like they do a good job of like teaching us about wizard racism and elitism and the Malfoys, and
it's good to have in a kids movie too. Come like this is not right.
Yeah, the way you're born doesn't make you better or less good.
And then we end the serious topic off with Lockhart talking about
himself. Yeah. You know he'd be an Instagrammer.
Yeah. He'd be an influencer as we talk.
Oh, for sure. He'd be like, and my hair is beautiful thanks to Pantene.
I love how they do the voice in here. Like, it sounds really creepy in the way that they tilt the camera just to, like, kind of make it very disorienting. Like, in the book, we had, like, the italics kind of, like, voice, but we only had Harry's description of it, but actually like hearing it and seeing and like hearing it and like seeing the visuals, it kind of really acts like how kind of like I guess like upset or kind of like freaked out Harry is by it, because he's like, that's really creepy and no one else can hear it. Yeah, keeps in detention for 4 hours, Jesus. Like, free me.
Be like, I have to wake up and go to school tomorrow. Can you let me free?
Yeah.
Spooky. I love the stone walls, the exposed crumbling brick, the ceiling vaulting. The architecture is gorgeous.
By this time, they had like their studio at Livingston, and like it's just all theirs, and they can do it. So everything just feels like very like it all fits in, because it's all a lot of it's mostly just built sets, and everything's just so very cohesive. I think I missed that with Prisoner of Azkaban. Everything's just so different. Like literally everything's different.
Casual hallucinations, it's fine.
Yeah. At least they're good friends. So they're like, you're not crazy, Harry. As like you're running off in random directions, not telling us anything.
They do a good job. The floors are very damp.
Yep. Ew, the spiders.
Ugh.
And those are quite big spiders, actually.
They're huge. They're huge.
I'm with you, Ron. I don't like spiders either. Yeah, this is very spooky.
Yeah, some good solid blood there.
Yeah, they say it's written in blood in this movie, which is kind of disturbing, because I think in the book they say like red paint.
That's a bad looking fake cat, though.
Yeah.
Like it kind of looks like taxidermy of like
I think
not
they kind
of
wanted that because I guess they didn't want anything too realistic to kind of freak kids out. Because
I guess
in the earlier movies they definitely wanted to keep like their PG rating.
Yeah.
Try to go up here to like just make things worse.
We see that there is adults there because we saw Madame Pomfrey. So my question is, why did no one just like scold Draco for being a racist?
Everyone's in shock. They're like, a cat. Oh no.
Don't get me wrong, I like cats, but I dislike racism. So
yeah. Where was Dumbledore this whole time? He took his sweet time coming.
He's knitting.
No.
Or he's working on his Harry Potter scrapbook.
Yeah. The caretaker threatening to kill a student. And he's like, oh, I guess I should probably do something.
Look at Snape. He looks so, like, contemplative. I feel like he's already thinking farther along than everyone else is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do wonder how much he knew about Snape at this point, because we do know that the author told him, like, things about his character that he was told pretty early on, but we just don't know how early on. So he could be... this is kind of interesting because we don't really have the background of like why Filch is like upset with Harry.
Yeah, we don't know about him.
He just accuses Harry just because he saw him there first.
Yeah,
which I kind of get because Filch jumps to conclusions a lot. But like in the book, there's just definitely more. It's like definitely more tied into like real world kind of like racism and prejudice.
Oh, I'm sorry, Gilderoy. I don't remember you being on a first name basis with Snape. Cut the shit. His hair flows so good when he flips his head there. Harry is such a shitty liar. Snape's face says it all. He's like, when you said you weren't hungry.
I know you're lying. And not just because I can read minds.
You treacherous little shit. Even if I couldn't read your mind, I would know.
Well, I kind of don't really explain what being petrified is. They're just like, oh, she's been petrified. And we're like, oh no. Also kind of interesting here. I like seeing like the moving staircase and
we
just
never
like
get
all the
stairs
stuff
in later films.
But here when like Harry's like, should I have told them? And Hermione's like, no, you shouldn't have told them. But like, I feel like Hermione's always the first person to be like, tell a teacher, please, just tell a teacher. Because we know in the book, it's Ron explaining like, oh, that's weird. You shouldn't tell anyone.
Yeah, you keep, yeah.
Yeah, so it just kind of is cementing the point like, oh, Hermione knows all. Hermione knows everything. Just Hermione.
Yeah.
But it just doesn't seem in character for her because Hermione's always telling them like, you should tell a teacher, and then Ron and Harry just like
if
we're
anything, if Harry is going
everything.
Crazy, which she implies is the alternative, he should speak to a Madame Pomfrey who's like a doctor. I don't know.
Yeah, we don't get a lot of transfiguration in the movies, so I'm glad that we get to see this. It's just so cool.
It's a fancy goblet.
Yeah, turning Scabbers into a goblet. Interesting.
I wish they'd left him as a goblet.
yeah, it would have been easier.
Hey, that's close. I don't think that's a bad first try.
He tells me these replacing. He's like, yeah, I know, my parents are poor.
You know this. Give me some money. Yeah, Hermione, ask the good questions.
It's interesting. I don't think I mind this transition from the book because they don't really focus on. I don't think Mr. Binns is even in the movies at all,
No.
unfortunately. But I do think it's nice that it's McGonagall because we know McGonagall's pretty like a straightforward
Yeah,
person.
we trust her. We like her. They didn't have enough time to have all the
Yeah,
teachers that we get in the books, so they.
and also it's like just more time explaining like Mr. Binns too. Like he's not really a big part in like the
The
main
only thing that
series,
matters is he's
so
really boring and he's dead.
yeah.
So.
The only interesting thing is he's a ghost.
Mm.
So I'm sure if he played a bigger part in the series, they would have been like, oh, okay, we'll do it, but
Mm.
you don't miss it too much. And McGonagall's already an established teacher,
Yeah, she's
which
a
works out.
staple. I like the theory
Nice.
that every teacher had a hidden room inside Hogwarts. I think that's fun.
That'd be interesting. I think it's interesting though that Binns was always telling them that there wasn't a Chamber of Secrets, and McGonagall's being pretty honest with them. Like, oh, here's the rumor, but we don't know if it's true or not.
Yeah, she's pretty upfront. They just keep
That's
saying
fine.
it. They find out and establish it's a very offensive term, and they're like, let's just keep saying it. Casual,
Yeah.
like.
In the book, it's like a very big thing. It's like a slur almost. But I think in movies, they just say it's like, oh, it's a bad word. It's not very nice. But it's like a literal slur. Here they go, breaking the rules again.
Hermione suggesting they break the rules.
Like how they also ignore the part of getting Gilderoy's signature. Hermione just finds it in the library and she's like, aha, here's this very disturbing potion we can make. I think in the movie, they have like no evidence it's Malfoy either. They're just like, it could be Malfoy. We should just ask him.
Unless one of you wants to participate in brainstorming at some
Yeah.
point, that would be fine.
Here we go for Quidditch. I love the early Quidditch scenes. I just feel like all this is done obviously with like blue screens and like a lot of special effects, but it looks so cohesive. Like it just it's so well put together and it's so exciting too. Like I feel it's like sometimes reading about the Quidditch games in the books is a bit like for me because I'm not a sports person.
Yeah, it's just
Like
a lot of
you.
like, he flew left, he flew
Yeah,
right.
it's just listening to like announcers or just commentators telling me what's happening. Not always something interesting happens in the game, but it's not something like I actively like pay attention to. But seeing it in the movies, it's like there's so much action and things to look at. It's fun, especially this one because it's with Malfoy, so it's just
Yeah.
so funny. Tom Felton does a really good job just playing a bully in this movie
Yeah.
and just being a piece of shit, basically.
Should we skip ahead to the
The rogue bludger.
yeah.
Yeah, so I definitely like the rogue bludger in this scene where it's actually like destroying like property. You can see how dangerous it is because in
Yeah,
the book it's just kind of like this bludger's following Harry and it's going to hurt him, and we're like, oh no. But here it's
Ugh.
just like
Almost concussing Draco, breaking
Yeah.
holes in the towers, like.
I also find it interesting that Lucius is here watching the game too. Because they never
It's-
really explained that like
Parents are allowed to come watch
yeah.
Quidditch matches, yeah.
But Lucius is also governor, so maybe he just comes.
I feel like all parents would be invited to go watch the Quidditch
Yeah.
games, support your children and stuff.
Yeah. I'm sure if I actually had any kind of talent athletically, my parents would have come to games.
I'm sure, yeah.
Unfortunately, I was not gifted with that.
Alas. Weren't they being on a roller coaster? Like when they're in here,
Yeah.
inside the sort of like tunnel.
I feel like it gets them to do most of them too, because I know Daniel Radcliffe spoke about doing a lot of like in the earlier ones, doing a lot of his own stunts,
Yeah.
or just it's kind of really rare to do as kids because usually they don't want kids doing stuff like that.
Yeah, they just
But
find
they were
short
like harnessed
adults.
in, like he did a lot of stunts, and especially this movie, like with the Quidditch, they were harnessed in.
Yeah.
And I know for the Dueling Club, he was harnessed in, and for Chamber of Secrets, like he did a lot of his own stunts in this movie,
Yeah.
which I guess for like a really young actor, that'd be really exciting because there's lots of liability that could have come up. For
Yeah.
all that stuff.
I love that part. Screw you,
Draco,
Draco.
comes up. Yeah. He embarrasses himself in front of his dad, and he's like, "Oh no, I'm hurt, Daddy."
And Lucius is rolling his eyes.
Yeah,
like,
and he's
ugh,
like, "Oh,
don't embarrass me in front of Severus Snape.
Yeah, seeing the impact where Harry literally breaks his arm, and we're just in awe. But of course, Harry catches the snitch,
As he should.
and then of course they have to show Hermione doing magic, just to show that she's the best. Unlike in the book, where the bludger's just fine.
This part stresses me out too.
Yeah.
He said, no, don't. Please don't let him do
Yeah.
it. Some adult there, or a twin, or Hagrid, for goodness sake, makes the eyebrows saying he knows it's a bad idea, should not have allowed this.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of things that are kind of serious in the book, they kind of take for some kind of comic relief. This is kind of to be oh, look, it's all bad. But they don't really focus on the fact that, Harry has to regrow all those bones. And it's pretty traumatizing.
Oh.
Yeah. I don't like that stuff. Yeah.
Freaking.
I love this where Malfoy's just moaning and she's like, you can leave, get out of here.
Yeah, she has no time for his shenanigans and tomfoolery.
It's like those people that just like crave attention, so they do attention-seeking stuff, and she just doesn't have time for it. She's like, I know you're faking, get out of here.
She's still the only sensible adult at Hogwarts, pretty much, so she has to put up with everyone else's bullshit and heal all the broken students that everyone else's bullshit causes.
And Pumper's the MVP. I love all these, like, when they do all the snake stuff, like talking to Harry, and it's all like very mysterious and kind of disorienting.
Yeah.
When he hears the voices. And then this jump scare of Dobby.
Freaking Dobby. My stress levels through the roof.
She's worried because he can't see until he puts on those glasses, and then Dobby just jump scares and it's like, hello!
Dobby's just like, sorry I tried to kill you, but I'm not sorry I tried to kill you.
I feel like how Harry's just like really pissed off. He's like, I'm gonna strangle you. And Dobby's like, it happens. Just casual.
Because the Malfoys are abusive pieces of shit. And he's...
Yeah. It's also very interesting that like this is still Daniel Radcliffe acting with a tennis ball.
I wouldn't be impressed either.
No. So that's what makes like Dobby like is not really like pretty looking, but we still like we feel for him because he just has so much human.
They gave
qualities to
him big ears and really big eyes to like appeal to like the love of like puppies people have because they have really big eyes and really big ears. So like they didn't intentionally like pull at our heartstrings and make us see him as like this small,
just something so
fragile, vulnerable, creature.
So it's cool for this movie that they made like full body like casts of like everyone that was petrified.
That is
and
pretty.
Emma Watson talks about like the process and how like, weird it was, and like apparently like seeing yourself like that did like really creepy. It's like,
I can imagine
like giant porcelain dolls.
I would not be happy with that. I'd feel very uncomfortable, I think.
Yeah. Look at those shots. It was just them in the washroom, just like, you know, like they're all very casual. Like Hermione's all prim and proper, but Ron has like his sleeves rolled up and stuff, and so is Harry. And Hermione's doing all the work.
Yeah, classic.
Also, speaking of Wendy Myrtle, I can't get over that the actress that plays her is like 40 in this.
I know.
She's
Talk about ageless.
A child. I'd probably play a young character. I still get ID'd sometimes.
I love that for you. I got ID'd buying like rosé and asparagus once at the grocery store.
Asparagus. You're too young to buy asparagus.
I was like, asparagus was my ID. The fact that I am willingly purchasing asparagus is proof enough that I'm obviously over 18.
I love the Golden Club scene. It's just like they really kind of bring it to life in this
I love
movie.
his over-the-shoulder cape. It's very like Matador.
Yeah.
Also, I love that he's standing on a stage.
He's almost dressed like a prince. It's almost like a play to him.
Yeah, he thinks he's Prince Charming. I could totally see him playing like...
Yeah, and just comparing it to Snape, who was just very much in like his dark wizard robes and just like very much like
the way he stands up here is like, I have hormones, I have feelings, I experience a range of emotions.
This was your awakening. How many kids were like reenacting this after the movie came out?
Absolutely,
I probably was. Except for at school, we got in trouble for we weren't allowed to have sticks or like cold things because.
Because you poke each other with them?
Yeah. Also, first, I think I remember I used to play Harry Potter at recess, and we used to have sticks as wands, and then I think one time we got in trouble for holding them because they thought we were like using guns. Like we weren't allowed to do like gunplay.
Oh,
that's
that
dangerous.
Makes sense, I guess. I always think it's cool how dramatic they make Snape's Expelliarmus. Like there's a puff, there's a huge circle of like magic energy, and like later on it's like the most mediocre spell. Everyone does it. Harry does it 1,000 times.
Yeah.
And it's so just like Snape. I don't know if it's because it's Snape and like he's so whimsically powerful, or if it's just because it's early movies and they show you all the magic like that. But it makes it look so cool when it's just Expelliarmus.
It's probably a good thing he said no to Ron, just so Harry's alive.
He saved a life. He saved an actual life. He's doing the Dark Lord's work. Well, Dumbledore's work.
Both of their works.
He's doing everyone's work.
This scene with Malfoy and Tom Felton and Daniel Radcliffe do like a really great job of just playing enemies. Just like
they do a really good job of hating.
They really play off each other really well. I just like the way they walk up to each other too, and like just like the way they look at each other.
Yep.
You really feel like the tension. You're just like, yeah,
I kind of want to like be there. I want to fight them.
Yeah.
I want to brawl.
Yeah, Malfoy cheating, of course. Yeah, see, this is where they do like the stunts. Like they had them on wires and like they did their own stunt, which I think is
That's
like
fun. I would want to do that one. Like that'd be a cool stunt.
Yeah, fun stuff. But I gotta imagine like it must be really fun for like a 12-year-old. I think Tom was 13, like to do your own stunts.
The most fun for sure.
I do kind of like how the movie in the book it just shows Harry talking normally. Then we find out later that he's speaking parts of something. But here it kind of shows not from Harry's perspective, but like what everyone else is seeing. So we see him like speaking parcel tongue. So kind of see like Harry's kind of gone crazy.
I feel bad for the snake.
Yeah, this is animal cruelty.
Poor guy.
Harry almost looks like he's in a trance. Yeah, so this is like I don't really blame Justin for being like kind of weirded out because this is really creepy. Even Snape's like, what the fuck? Like, Dumbledore, you didn't tell me everything.
Nope. Dumbledore, you douche. You didn't tell me anything.
And this is like, like just all the angles of Harry speaking parcel tongue are like, it's very like disturbing. Even Snape's disturbed. And we kind of get the vibe that something's not right with Harry.
Snape's face says it all.
Yeah.
And a lot of other things that I won't repeat because this is a PG-13 podcast, except not really. Not really. Mm-hmm. Never mind. We've all done that once or twice.
Yeah, once. Dudley's fine. Maybe.
He's barely traumatized. Hagrid's done worse to him.
So everyone's looking at Harry like he's a weirdo.
Because he is.
There's a deleted scene where the Hufflepuffs are like giving like all like their theories about him. This movie has like a lot of really cool deleted scenes. Just where he's like, I hear something. And stuff. I feel like the lighting choices are really great. And, like how just the camera like moves like upwards or downwards just to show like almost like the movement the snake is taking.
Yeah, I think it's a good way of doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Harry should just not be alone so often.
Harry needs a monitor.
Like,
so unlike in the
Potter.
book, like Nick is described as being like black when he's like in like smoking, which they kind of did, but I guess like they didn't really do that because like it kind of loses the ghost effect if they change the color.
They could have made him like a charcoal ghost or something. This is dumb. He looks so fake there.
It is cast. I mean, there's only so much they can do.
Yeah, but like they could have, I don't know, for the close up of the face that you get for a second, maybe used his real face.
I mean, like it's hard with kids though, because like having to keep still for that long. They're not like on CSI where you had to keep still like being a dead body.
That's like my dream job. I'd be such a good dead body on CSI.
And, like, creepy spiders again. Ugh. This might have actually given me fear spiders. This movie. I mean, I generally don't like bugs or insects at all, but I think this gave me like kind of a phobia. I love like how they did like, the entrance in Dumbledore's office and everything. Like amazing. I wish I had entrances like if I had an office.
Yeah, it's so dramatic.
Yeah, so Dumbledore. And like you have to give a password, and then like you go up like this like escalator staircase to my circular office.
All the drama. I love The Office.
Yeah, and we get all like the pictures of all the old professors and everything.
Headmasters and...
So it's actually interesting that Fox, like they made like an animatronic bird for Fox for like all his like scenes like this, like all the flying stuff, CGI obviously. But I know there's a story in like the 20th anniversary special where Richard Harris thought that it was real. So Danny Radcliffe just went along with it. As you would do when you were 12. You're like, oh yeah, that's totally real, Grandpa.
Okay.
Apparently he did, like, I read my page of Scream book, and apparently he did find out that it was, like, animatronic later on.
And was he, like, talking to it alone in a room, petting its leaves, petting the bird's leaves?
Well, because he told the prop person or something, or the bird person, or the pet trainer, that it was really well trained, and he's like, that's not real. And he's like, yes, it is. And they had to show him, like, the remote control and stuff. But yeah, apparently it could, like, cry, like it could do a bunch of things, and it's like that's so cool. Crazy for
how have they not sold that as Harry Potter merch yet? An animatronic fox that cries on Will.
No idea. Poor Harry. He's just been through a day. He's like,
just so confused.
No one will talk to me. I'm in trouble. And Dumbledore's bird caught fire.
I'm gonna get fired from my job. Like I'm gonna get kicked out of the school. I accidentally killed Dumbledore's bird. I think he's kind of ugly when he's first
Yeah, I was
born.
kind of supposed to say, it's like when everyone says like newborn babies are born, they're like, oh, isn't it cute? And I'm like, all babies kind of look a bit
Gross.
ugly.
Beautiful. I love winter. I love the horse-drawn carriages. Sign me up for that.
Now, my friend and I debate if this is a Christmas movie because a lot happens over the Christmas, and it just feels very Christmassy. So
I
sometimes
feel like most Harry Potter movies are Christmas movies.
I mean, they played them over Christmas, so. But I would love Christmas at Hogwarts. It looks so festive.
I agree.
And like, there's a huge cake just sitting in front of Harry and Ron. Like, they get a whole cake to themselves. Like,
I love it. This seems like the weirdest way to go about it. I would just stand in the hallway and have the cupcake in my hand and be like, this is such a special cupcake. I'm so excited to eat it, knowing they'd steal it from me. You don't have to magic it.
Yeah, the Politics potion looks gross, just like I imagined it.
Yeah, it looks disgusting.
Yeah. It's like a gravy porridge.
Look where Harry's standing. This is the funniest
part. Right
by
the Chamber of Secrets entrance.
You could just throw up directly into the Chamber of Secrets. That would show Voldemort.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I hate this. Like, the special effects are so good here, but it creeps me out. I think
it makes me think of like bugs. Like there's bugs crawling under his skin.
This reminds me of like the Mummy. So they took a creative decision to still have Harry's voice.
Yeah,
I guess for kids just to not be super confused.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess it kind of works.
Also, I think it would have been a big acting leap for whoever these two actors are.
Yeah.
Like they would have had to when Hermione when Helena Bonham Carter plays Hermione playing, that was hard and complicated. I can't imagine 12-year-olds managing that.
Yeah. I think they really had to kind of get unless they were playing basically themselves. It's just, but yeah, it'd be quite an interesting acting process.
Especially because Harry and Ron don't do a good job of pretending to be Crabbe and Goyle.
Yeah.
So Crabbe and Goyle actors can't just play Crabbe and Goyle and be like, Harry and Ron are good actors. It's like, no, they're not. They can't even remember their goddamn names. I love it.
Oh my god, the scene was improvised. I didn't know you could read.
It's such a kind, pleasant fun fact.
I love the kids really getting into their acting this book. I know it was the first big movie for most of them, and so that them getting comfortable enough that they got to improvise lines and really kind of better their craft is really amazing. Because I
like the way Draco lays down on this couch.
Yes.
He really owns the room.
Yeah. I love how they did the Slytherin common room too, all the greens and just kind of the high ceilings and everything. It just feels
with an exception to the fact that I don't like leather couches because they're not very comfortable.
Yeah.
I would love the Slytherin common room.
Yeah. But leather just has kind of high class.
Yeah.
About it. So
velvet. I would have preferred velvet.
Velvet, I think, would have fit the theme. I feel just very rich and
luxe.
Yeah, luxe is what I'm thinking of. Yeah, he's not used to Crabbe and Goyle disagreeing with him.
Even in disguise as a Slytherin, Harry can't help but being blindly loyal to Dumbledore.
Yeah.
He's like, nobody's as good as Dumbledore. I'm worse than Dumbledore, me.
He's drank the Kool-Aid. He's been indoctrinated. Yeah, it really plays into the really disturbing kind of how disturbing this is, where he seems really excited about it.
Yeah.
Because that's how he's raised. But us hearing it's kind of really shocking.
He's like a 12-year-old. I can't wait for this person to be killed. Yeah,
it's one of his peers too. And it's very disturbing. Yeah, I love how they have their stuff coming back too, so we kind of get the idea that.
They do a good job of it's very Cinderella at the ball.
Yeah.
Oh no, my shoe turned back into a. How do you even bless Madame Pomfrey for just putting up with the things she has to put up with? Yeah, Moaning Myrtle did it all right.
We get so many shots of just where the Chamber of Secrets is, this whole
They're
movie.
Have you seen the sink? Have we mentioned the sink?
The sink.
The sink. Harry's hand being no,
no. You're just kind of establishing Ron is not being very tactful. He's like, no, Ron. No. Robert does have really great expressions, though, for the
his entire face is a meme. I love it so much. She's the only goth at Hogwarts.
Yeah.
I'm just sitting there thinking about death.
The one true goth.
I don't know if my first reaction to finding a blank book that looks all mysterious is to write personal things about myself in it. I'd want to write in it maybe, but I don't know. I think I'd be more Slytherin about it and be a little deceitful.
I think in the book, Harry, he just kind of drops a dot, and that's why he's oh. think my first thing would be like to write like property
Oh
of
my
Tory
gosh.
Hill now, or like do not read or whatever. I put in my old diaries. Yeah, this is really good. How I like how they go back into the memories and they kind of keep this going through the series, although it's kind of different. Because yeah, they have in this one they kind of keep everything black and white and only Harry's in color to show that he's in a memory. But I feel like in later movies when Harry goes back into like the pensieve and stuff, they just can't hear him and he's just like he just kind of is just there.
Just a youthful
I think
guy.
that doesn't
That's all.
have the kind of tried to like age down Dumbledore though.
I can't get over like this actor for Tom Riddle. He's so handsome.
Yeah.
And like Voldemort's supposed to be
Most
handsome. So like they did such a good job. And it really helps when you see
yeah.
Voldemort's Voldemort face later to see like the
Yeah.
stark difference of how he lost all his
Yeah.
humanity.
And this is like the perfect Tom Riddle. Like this is how like I imagine Voldemort just being like just like he's supposed to be very handsome and just like someone that you would trust and he's in like a power up position and everything.
I mean, Harry can't be that shocked. He really does look exactly like himself. Like,
I don't like in the book they actually essentially say that Riddle is Slytherin, but like we see the Slytherin badge here, so generally the movies are like Slytherin's bad, Slytherin's bad. But
yeah.
like Harry trusts Riddle here. Like we're seeing someone that like, and we're seeing a very like good side of this boy. Like he's just very nervous and he seems upset by the happenings here. And
Mhm.
so it really kind of shows like how Riddle manipulated Harry like in the book.
Yeah.
Although we don't get like really Harry's insight and stuff, so it's just like through the point of like we believe what we see.
Yeah.
Even though like it's Hagrid and it's traumatizing for us. Like Hagrid can't be Hagrid
He would never. On purpose.
on purpose.
Accidentally,
Yeah,
totally.
it's interesting. Like, does Robbie Coltrane play like a young Hagrid? Because they make Hagrid look older here. Because Hagrid's only supposed to be 13.
Yeah, but he's huge, right?
That's
So
true.
He's giant. That's not Robbie Coltrane for sure. You can't even
Yeah.
see the face of the actor. I don't even know if
Yeah.
they specifically just
I
cast
think
like that could be his
it was
stunt
kind of
double.
intentional to keep Hagrid in the dark. Because we associate Hagrid so much with Robbie Coltrane's face.
Yeah.
But it is his voice.
Ugh, spider,
Ugh,
kill it,
yeah,
kill it,
no.
kill it. Why did he let the spider get away? That would be my priority. I'd like lock the box when it's still in there. Like I don't want that spider in my school.
Yeah.
Voldemort does a good job of manipulating Harry and his perspective and making himself look like the good guy. And
Yeah. Very manipulative.
Mm.
So this idea that like it could be Hagrid and everything, and like how they kind of discuss it, it's just very.
Hagrid would never do anything bad on purpose.
Yeah, that's why they're like we know Hagrid. Like Hagrid's a good guy. You know, when someone wrecks his dormitory, better lock your door next time, boys.
Yeah, boys. I mean, that could have just been Seamus trying to do magic, to be honest.
No, then
Like-
everything would be singed. Poor Hedwig. She's like, what the hell, man?
She's like, you live like this?
Oh, they broke mirrors too. That's
That's
a lot of
bad
bad luck.
That explains a lot about Ginny's future.
Yes, this we're kind of like, who is doing this? Because it's obviously connected to Tom Riddle, and we don't really kind of know who it could be because we don't really believe it's Hagrid.
hmm
Got a little bit of wood in there for like row, go Quidditch.
Go sports.
This is my favorite part where McGonagall comes and she's like, this match is canceled. And he's like, you can't cancel Quidditch. Poor Hermione.
I like that she brings them to see her.
I do like that she includes Ron in the movie because in the book it's just kind of like a happenstance where like she gets Harry for this purpose, but
Mhm.
Ron ends up coming up to them and she's like, "Oh, you can come too." But I
Yeah,
thought
it's
she
like
gets
Ron
them
is an
both
important
together.
part of this.
Yeah, especially because Ron spends all of Chamber of Secrets like when after Hermione's attacked, just like being like, "Oh, Hermione's attacked," and he just feels really bad and he misses Hermione.
Mhm.
And like I don't know, I just like Ron's like a big part of like their group, so I feel like he should be included.
Hers looks a lot more believable than Justin.
Well, they probably
Flinch's
spent more time on
lectures.
her cast because there's a
She's
lot
Emma
of there's a
Watson.
lot of scenes with Emma and she's the main character. So like there's going to be a
Mhm.
lot of like shots of it up close. So I love getting more inside Hagrid's cabin since we only got a little bit for last year.
Yeah.
And Return of the Cloak, which is great. I love his teapot. I need a teapot that size. Like a giant teapot. Put a straw in it. There we go. That's for me. Really interesting how they comparing like Cornelius Fudge here compared to Cornelius Fudge and like Order the Phoenix.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get this little bit of about Azkaban
Mhm.
leading into the next movie, and oof. You know, Lucius actually does pull off ponytail.
Yeah.
even with a little bow.
He looks a little like a governor.
Yeah, he
you
definitely
know?
looks like a governor. Like, very.
He looks like someone they would try to make Elizabeth Swann marry in Pirates of the Caribbean, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I like the way they show this with the bit of the folds in the
Yeah.
cloak.
Yeah, so definitely like the different perspectives of like what's happening in Hagrid's head, and then also like what Harry and Ron are seeing.
I liked how Dumbledore being like holding up his finger is what stops the Minister of Magic from reaching
we
for
definitely
something.
get the idea that like
The power
Minister-
dynamics.
Yeah, that Dumbledore is like the all be and all. Yeah, she says like just such a good job being evil. Like just the way he talks, where he's just saying terrible things, but just the way he has his voice, it
Yeah,
doesn't seem like he's saying terrible things.
he's a real politician. Yeah, that's threatening, Hagrid. You're a danger to society. You need to not talk. Like, he's someone that should not speak and should immediately ask for a lawyer
Yeah.
whenever accused of something.
Oh, Hagrid. Like the little details on Lucy's jacket too. He's like little snakes on like his jacket,
Mm-hmm.
and obviously his cane.
So dramatic.
Yeah.
Loves a bedazzle, that man.
Yeah.
His bow in his hair. He has a
Yeah.
friggin' bow. It's not just like
Yeah.
tied back. He's got a little bow in there.
Little,
So cute.
Little bow. He's just very much like Governor Lucius.
Hmm I wonder if his
He is.
hairstyle is sort of inspired by like old judges with like the powdered wigs that were kind of
Yeah.
long. Like, I wonder if they went for that.
Just reminds me of like old like Victorian like lords and stuff, and just like
Hmm
just being aristocratic and
hmm
showing it off. Then we have Dumbledore as being like, "Help if we go given to Hogwarts, supposed to ask for it." And then freaking Hagrid being like, "If you want to learn anything, pull some spiders. You'll be fine." Like, spoiler alert, they were not fine.
They're like, he's insane.
The minister's like, "Who are you talking
Who
to?"
is he narrating?
Like, am I supposed to feed Faye?
I'm busy, but if Dumbledore's not available, I can step in.
Now you're entering into the scenes that I used to fast forward when I was a kid because it was traumatizing.
I have trauma.
I did not like the spiders, and I do remember like we used to have this on VHS, so then it was like really hard to fast forward on it because you usually go over where you wanted to go.
Yeah.
It was about easier when we had it on DVD, but I just remember like we didn't like this part as kids, so my mom would fast forward it, but we had to like time it like really right. It was mostly just when Aragog came on because he's really creepy, and we did not like him or his voice or any of that.
Yeah.
So
I do
like,
not
fast
like
forward,
Eric.
fast forward.
I don't like these spiders either, though.
Mhm.
Like, I think I'd rather fight one huge giant spider than the equivalent size worth of small spiders.
Yeah, there's just something about the quantity of them.
Yeah, it's too many. Follow the butterflies.
Like when we're going back into like some of the old sets that we were in the last movie. Like we were back at Hagrid's hut, and then we're going back into the Forbidden Forest.
With the lantern and Fang.
Yeah.
And
So yeah, it's still a bit familiar, but like
it's impressive that Fang hasn't chased a single squirrel in that woods or like stopped to pee 12 times. Like, it's very impressive.
he's a good boy.
Yeah, but he's a boy dog. Boy dogs pee on everything. How else will other dogs know he was there?
I don't know if they're so careful not to step on any spiders.
Oh, I'd be like,
I'd be climbing up a tree, and I can't climb
Yeah.
trees.
oh, I can climb trees.
I'm terrible. I'm also afraid of heights, so just so many phobias.
I'm fine with heights, and I love climbing trees. I would do anything to get away from those
You
spiders.
and my sister used to climb trees when you guys were drinking. You guys were crazy.
I mean, I can climb trees in any state of myself.
in any circumstance, you can climb a
Yeah,
tree.
I'm just good at it. Like, it's a...
It's a gift.
I'm not concerned about my tree climbing ability. That they go through that knowing there's spiders on the roof and they could get in their
Yeah.
hair.
Nope. Anything that goes over my head. Nope.
It's a no from me,
I'm
dog.
also claustrophobic. So all
So
these
big.
all these phobias come out of me. And this voice of Aragog is so creepy.
Mm-hmm. He sounds so old.
Yeah. And then this was like another kind of practical effect, like it's actually there, and it's so creepy.
I hate spiders so much.
And like the little like webs and everything, like ugh. Even like the little eyes, like they're all like wet and stuff. Ugh.
Ugh, it's so
Like,
and, like his
obviously-
legs are so hairy.
Yeah, from a set perspective, and there's like props and everything. It's so good.
Mhm. I think he's smaller in the 6th movie.
Yeah. I mean, I think I tried to erase the 6th movie from my brain, so I can't
Fair.
actually remember. how big he was, but I know they had to rebuild a lot of the sets when they got older just to make them look smaller.
That makes sense.
But the poor Dan Rad was like the same height. Everyone just got taller.
He just never grew.
I mean, I think he's like average-ish height. Everyone else is just really tall. Yeah, see, we get Rupert Grint's just, just like comic relief.
That's how I would be in that situation.
Yeah. Like, we don't really get Ron's backstory about why he has a spider phobia, but this is like really pretty perfect. Like going into an area where it's just like your phobia is just there.
I couldn't do it.
Immersion therapy.
I'm not into it. No. I'm not into it at all.
Ron's broken wand.
The dog's tail is wagging. I read an article once. Apparently, they often have to CGI dogs' tails in movies because the dog's supposed to be acting like scared or sad, and it's so happy to be there that its tail's wagging.
Yeah.
He's just like, this is fun. I like this.
And here comes the car. Do you remember when DVDs used to have special effects like discs back in the day?
Special effects discs?
Yeah, they had there was one disc that had the movie, and then there's another disc that just had games on it.
Oh, special features.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yes, I do remember that. There was a game
for this movie where it's like you had to find like Aragog's cave in the Forbidden Forest or something, and me and my brother and my sister spent so long trying to figure it out. Like we wrote down like what, because you had to press the DVD remote like which way you were going, like left or right, and so you had to press a bunch of times to get to the right path. And we spent like all day doing that.
I hate spiders. Harry's done so many spells in this movie.
And it's not Expelliarmus.
I know. He's so versatile.
He probably has more spells in this movie than he does in the actual book. Harry learning that his friend's innocent.
Good.
Never should have suspected Hagrid in the first place. I feel like Harry cares more about Hermione in the movie than he does in the book. In the book, it's usually Ron referencing Hermione or talking about Hermione, and Harry's just kind of like, Hermione's petrified.
Yeah, it happens. Could have been anyone.
It might be a Steve Close thing, though, because I'm pretty sure he wrote the script for this, and then this maybe what has started his Harry and Hermione stuff that he did through the entire series.
Stop trying to make them be in love. They're not in love.
Wait till we get to the last one. They have that dance scene.
Oh, don't remind me.
Just getting all the clues together.
Some solid detective work. I like they show us him thinking.
Yeah, and they show us him I like the vision of us looking in the mirror so we can know about it's like the reflection.
Yeah, so he's connecting it because he sees his reflection, and
they're like, we're not going to our dormitory.
I like Snape's hurry. He's very serious.
Yeah, Snape looks very serious.
Yeah, he's like, fuck, where do I go if Hogwarts closes?
Freaking Gilderoy just strolling in here. I feel like they don't play enough like how funny the professors were with them roasting Gilderoy.
Yeah, this is the best we get, is Snape calling him on his shit here.
Yeah. Minerva just kind of goes along with it.
She's smiling.
Yeah, she's like this little smirk in the corner of her mouth.
It's like she's actively fighting that smile so hard.
Yeah.
Which is such a weird, like we get why it happened, but like the teacher should be confused because like she's a pureblood. Snape's like, but she...
Yeah, the creepy... It should be a big clue that like the downstairs he took the big frame down.
Mm-hmm. I love how accusatory his voice is there.
Yeah, I love how like it just shows how frantic Lockhart is, and they're just these two boys that are children, and they're just like full on accusing him.
Yeah.
Of Lockhart getting exposed.
I love when villains just sit there and tell you their whole plot and they're back like...
Is there anything you can do?
My hair.
Yeah, they kind of over-explain like what Lockhart did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like how they have this little like look between Dana and Rupert where they're like, "Yeah, we're gonna attack him," and they took him hostage, as you know, most 12-year-olds do.
All 12-year-olds occasionally have to take their teacher hostage to force them to help them vanquish evil.
And we're back into the washroom.
I'm sure it was uncomfortable for this 40-year-old actress to be like, hello, Harry.
Yeah, to like, there's like, I think even probably be more strange when she does it in Goblet of Fire. Because how old was Daniel Radcliffe in that movie?
In the bathtub. Yeah.
Like 18, 17?
I mean, she's not even in the same room as him, probably, because she's digitally whatever.
Yeah.
He's definitely wearing a wetsuit in that bathtub for safety. Poor kid.
Yeah, it's weird thinking like how long they did this for, and just like they basically grew up on screen, and just like how awkward that would have been to like if they maintained the same crew, to that crew seen you as a child, and that crew also sees you as a 17-year-old. Yeah, I'd be so embarrassed. The sink comes back.
We're like, oh yes, we've seen the sink 5 times already in the movie. Yeah. So that checks
Ron's
out.
just threatening, has his wand out the whole time.
I like that they give Ron smart moments.
They keep that from the book.
Yeah. They're like, oh, we couldn't possibly give it to Hermione. She's petrified. Yeah, petrified. So I guess we'll let Ron have his moment.
I guess Ron can have this. All this Ron slander. It's definitely a lot more like complex than in the book. I think it just opens up into a tunnel in the book, and here it's just like this whole like transformer.
Yeah, it's a transformer. Autobot.
It's basically a transformer. Every single piece comes apart. I mean, it's very visually very cool, and like it kind of drives like this big like aha moment where they finally like discover it. It is interesting reading that they want the Chamber of Secrets. Obviously, we talked about it in our last episode, like how big it is, and they didn't have a place on their studio lot big enough to do it, so they kind of like cut corners by making the chamber a lot of tunnels. Because they could only build it so big. Yeah. But I think they did a pretty good job of what they had, because it wasn't as big as what it's described in the books, but it still looks pretty like accurate.
Just a room full. It's very like the catacombs of.
But I think the tunnels kind of add to it. Like still feels big. It doesn't feel like as big as what it is in the book, but
it makes it feel snakier because we know he travels through the pipes. Yeah. So it's cool that they're rounded. Yeah.
I do like how like they made Lockhart kind of like really dirty, and he's kind of like lost it at this point. Yeah,
he's completely deranged. It's always like Harry has his just me from this point on moment.
So
I love the architecture here. I love all the huge snake heads. I love the big, glorious Salazar Slytherin
like all like the
head.
Water too.
Yeah, the reflection's gorgeous. The centering of Ginny's corpse body self.
Everything looks green too. Just like the water is all black, and then just like a green glow on everything. Like I said, he's just the perfect actor for Tom Riddle.
Yeah, he's really good. His hair is so flawless. Yeah.
I wish they could have had him come back for like Half-Blood Prince when we have like those scenes, but like obviously he'd been aged out.
He'd aged,
But oh my god, just like everything about his mannerisms, he just really nails it. Harry realizing that Tom Riddle is actually a jerk. That felt kind of like little flashbacks to kind of like really establishing like.
And I'm very handsome.
Yeah.
But also I'm evil and I brainwashed her. I don't know why they showed her throwing it in the toilet, because in my mind, she chucked the book into the bathroom, and that's how she hit Myrtle. It's weird that she hit Myrtle through the toilet.
Myrtle was in the toilet, wasn't she? In like the U-bend or something. Just hanging out.
Harry's such a Dumbledore fangirl.
Dumbledore's boy.
Yeah, through and through.
Yeah.
I feel like I do versions of this quote a lot about things. Like, cheese is my past, my present, and my future. Like...
Yeah.
My favorite part of this is that in order to make the acronyms work in the French books, his middle name is Elvis.
Tom Elvis Riddle. You are Voldemort.
It has to be like, je suis Lord Voldemort or whatever.
Yeah.
You're such a good guy, Harry. You're such a suck-up, but you're such a good guy. He's like, I'm loyal. And
here comes Spock. She's like, oh, loyalty, I hear.
Oh, look. It's Harry's pet bat.
If you're Shayna's dad. I love Harry's pet bat. And
he's like, what's this? Oh, it's a hat.
It's a freaking hat.
I would just throw it at Lord Voldemort. Pull it over his head and punch him when he can't see you.
I would have felt like acting, or you're just saying gibberish.
Yeah, I don't think that the author is exactly Tolkien, so she didn't write out the language and create it or anything. So
Yeah.
they really are just hissing and hawing, and
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
she's no Tolkien.
Mm-hmm. Not everyone
Why
can write
isn't Harry
multiple
using
languages.
Parcel here to be like, "Yo,
Please
Snake,
don't hurt me.
don't eat me"?
I think he's too
S'il
focused
vous
on not
plaît.
looking it in the eyes. He's like, Duh, I
Yeah,
can't look at it in the eyes or else it will kill me.
it only obeys me. You don't know that though,
This part
because
was
no one
scary
else has
watching
tried
Invaders
talking to it in
too.
Parcel Mouth.
Oof, ouch.
Classic Velma moment. My glasses, my
This part,
glasses. I can't
think,
see
is
without
less
my
disturbing
glasses.
than it is in the book because, as we know, it's very distinctly described. That really grosses
Yeah, I'm
out.
glad we
But
don't
here,
actually
everything's
see.
like kind of in shadows, so we know what happened, but we don't really see what happened, which I'm
Yeah, it's
actually
way better
thankful
not
for.
seeing the actual enucleation because that's gross.
Yeah, there is a reason I skipped those scenes on Game of Thrones. Don't want to see it.
Yeah, the eyeball stuff isn't worth watching. Skip over
No,
that part.
no.
What
My
I like is
brother.
that they made the sort of like the skin of the snake look very toad-like with almost like warts and bumps, which is great because how basilisks are made involves a toad.
Yeah.
So I think that's a really nice touch done by the art department.
Mm-hmm. Also, kind of like how they had this scene where Harry's just kind of running around in tunnels because there's more excitement because everything that happens in the book happens pretty quickly,
Yeah.
and it's just like kind of describes it, but this kind of draws it out, so we're like seeing kind of what Harry's doing. It's very smart with like the stone and everything.
Yep. Clever boy.
He's a smart boy at this point.
He
Not
has
always.
his moment.
Yeah, he has
Just
his
the one.
moments. Every so often. Maybe it's the Horcrux that's like getting him to do it so he doesn't die. It's like, I need you to live so I can live. You see, is this better than the book where he sees it and it doesn't almost knock him out?
I like it when the sword falls on his head.
I love it when Harry's unconscious.
It's like, time to put this hat on my head. That's got to be the only, I mean,
Yeah,
that's
so
what you
I
do.
read-
If someone gives you a
yeah.
hat to defend yourself, you got to try it on.
Yeah. I read that they made
That's just
like
good logic.
a lot more curves in this statue, so Daniel Radcliffe had more to stand on when he was fighting.
Mm-hmm. It's the majestic beard statue, Lots of good footholds. It's impressive that he's holding on one-handed. I don't have the upper body strength.
Yeah, I do not have the upper body strength for that at 12 either.
This is so dramatic, standing
Yeah.
on Slytherin's head.
He's like, screw you, Slytherin.
Hey.
Slytherin's head almost kind of looks like Poseidon with like all the bits coming out. Like a squid almost.
Just disappears into its little secret swimming pool halfway, and then... What a slow, dramatic death. It's very wiggly. Well, it dies.
Yeah. And it kind of shows Harry like disorientation, where it kind of like the camera kind of like moves up and it moves down, moves to side.
Yeah. It really puts you in the scene more.
Mm-hmm. I feel that it shows like him disintegrating too.
I like that it's bleeding, but it looks like ink. I think that's really well
bleeding
done.
ink, and then it shows Tom like just patches of him coming out.
Where am I? Why am I here? I look like crap. Oh no, my crush is here.
Oh no, don't look at me, Harry. My hair's a mess. Harry being a mater.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I'm gonna die. You go on ahead.
Martyr life. Fox is like, you two are cute. You should get married. He's so like, he's handling his inevitable death so well for a 12-year-old.
Yeah, I know. Honestly. I mean, we get that with Harry a lot, where he's like, I'm gonna save this stone or die trying in like the last movie.
Yeah, he's just like, well, I'll probably die.
Yeah.
In every movie. He's like, well,
whatever. It's fine.
Dumbledore does a good job of preparing him to be like, well, I'm about to die, by
Then when he
constantly having
finds out
him
that
always
he's
be
actually
about to
supposed
die.
He's like, oh, makes sense. No, everything's fine. I love this.
Totally no trauma, Ginny. You're fine. You don't need therapy.
Showing like all like the cave they're basically in.
Yeah, so deep down.
Yeah, like how they don't really focus on Ginny here. Ginny's just been through this trauma, and they're just like,
Yeah.
not even,
Bye,
not
you
even have
don't
her in here.
matter. She's not a character, she's a prop. That's sort of how they treat Ginny.
Yeah. And like they don't have McGonagall there, so like they make Ron do that, and I'm like, why did they trust Ron with that? That's a big like getting Hagrid out of jail. That seems like a big job that an adult should be doing. But Dumbledore wants Harry and Dumbledore time.
You're my favorite. I love you, Harry Potter.
like, you are my favorite, so therefore I must be your favorite. Harry, you're a Horcrux this whole time.
Let me tell you what that is. Let me explain to you how to kill them.
I find that Richard Harris plays a less manipulative Dumbledore. I don't know why.
Yeah, I think maybe it's because he's older and he seems more grandfatherly. It's easier to find him to be more...
you see like your grandfather in him, and it also could just be the story too. The story's very innocent at this point, and then when Michael Gambon takes over, it's definitely a bit more darker.
Mm-hmm. I think it's interesting that they asked Sir Ian McKellen at one point to play Dumbledore after Richard Harris passes. Mm-hmm. Him being... Ian McKellen plays Gandalf. Yeah. And Ian McKellen said no because he knew Richard Harris hated his acting and thought that would be rude.
I mean, respect. It's nice.
Yeah.
So crazy to think about how many big actors were in this series.
Yeah. Everyone who's British. Like, if you watch anything British.
Big British actor was in Harry Potter, basically. And these kids are just like, just hanging out with all these, like, great people, and they don't really know.
Well, some of them knew. Like, I know Emma Watson was obsessed with Emma Thompson. And...
Yeah. I think Daniel did know, because he was in acting a bit before Harry Potter, so he knew some people. But I know, like, I think later on, when they're a bit older, they really do pay attention to, like, all these cool people that were in there. I remember when Gary Oldman comes in to play Sirius, Daniel was, like, obsessed with it. He's like, you gotta be cool. Gary Oldman's coming.
Gotta be cool.
You gotta be cool. Freaking. I love how much like improvisation goes on here, because I remember Jason Isaacs saying in the 20th anniversary film that he was like kicking stuff, and then Chris would be like cutting and be like, "What are you doing? Why are you doing that?" He's like, "Oh, I'm kicking Dobby."
I really, really, really love Jason Isaacs.
Yeah, he just kind of went with the role and like just kind of soared with it.
He really embraced it. He made Lucius Malfoy so much more of a character.
I couldn't imagine anyone else playing him.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and like here he definitely looks evil. Like he's kind of lost his cool now, and he's just like, now he's fully evil.
And his hair looks a bit more frazzled now that he's less in control. His hair is less controlled. He definitely is like less like calculating with his like voice and stuff. It's definitely and
just
his posture even.
Yeah, he's just very mad.
I also love the lighting on his face. Lighting department did so well in the scene.
Yeah. He's dark. And interesting, they don't really have Dumbledore calling Lucius out and being like, I know you did this. Instead, it's Harry.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, I didn't expect you to say that. This is improvised, which I like is so crazy, because it's probably like one of like my favorite lines when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Jason said he did this and he wasn't expecting Daniel to do anything because he's a kid. And then he just went with it and he's like, oh my God, this kid.
He's great.
Amazing. Like they really got into their characters this book, or movie, I should say. Just
love that cape toss. Good for you.
And here he goes. He's just like, this is all he improvised and stuff. And it's just like, it really shows how awful he is. Like he's really coming out full evil. He's just like, I'm kicking
Dobby. Can you imagine? Just like, what are you doing, Jason?
I'm kicking Dobby. And they're like, oh, okay.
Of course. What else would he be doing?
So this whole diary scene, I do like the payoff that like we don't really know what Harry's doing until like Dobby's freed. But now I can't stop thinking about the diary in the sock, like you talked about last episode. That's all I can think about.
He just hands Lucius a slimy, sweaty, holy old sock.
Because here we kind of find out that Lucius was like, this was his plan or whatever. Dumbledore doesn't mention it like in the book. So he's like, I know you did this thing. I know you're a bad guy. And Lucius just like, whatever. And so we do get the path. We don't know what Harry's doing. And like in the book, we kind of know what he's doing with the sock and everything. But yeah, now all I think about is like, would that diary fit in Harry's sock?
Yeah.
It's just changed my whole view of Chamber of Secrets.
I've ruined it for you.
No, it just makes it really funny because like I completely went over it in my head because I've always kind of imagined it being like this because I read the book after seeing this movie, so this movie's pretty like ingrained in my like mind of when I'm reading the book.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a pretty ugly sock though. He's so excited by it.
Well, all Harry's socks are secondhand, right?
Yeah.
So they're...
Yeah. Well, how he shows Lucius, it's like, na boo boo.
It's such a na boo boo.
So, does that seem like he's saying Avada Kedavra here?
He says Avada. He's 100% about to murder Harry Potter in Hogwarts
He's
with
like,
a witness.
who cares about Voldemort? I'm just going to
In
murder
prison.
Harry and plump in broad daylight. Never save my life, Dobby. Never. You hear me? And Dobby's like, wink, sure. It's like, of course, I would never do that.
He doesn't agree to it. He doesn't say sure. He doesn't.
They don't shake on it or anything?
No.
So I heard that, like, apparently Emma Watson hated the idea because they wanted her to go run and hug Harry and Ron, and she was like, absolutely not. She found it super embarrassing. So she said that she only hugged one of them, so it ended up being Daniel. And they hadn't, apparently, she wouldn't do it, like, multiple times. So, like, apparently they froze the frames a bit.
Because she's 12, them. You know? You gotta...
Yeah, because she thought it was embarrassing because
they're boys and she's 12.
A boy in front, and I do get the idea of like being 12 and being told you to like hug someone in front of everyone, especially being a boy. But I do kind of get what they're going like. She's very comfortable with Harry, but like she's still a bit awkward with Ron because there's like kind of the idea that maybe they have more than friendly feelings for each other, but they haven't kind of realized it yet. Just very sweet, but like...
Yeah. See, this is how I know Hermione would never have been in love with Harry. Like, it's so platonic.
Yeah. I do think that Dan and Emma do have more romantic chemistry than her and Rupert. They just, like, they have a vibe to them, but that's just them as characters. But in the book, like, there's nothing to clue Harry and Hermione in. We're probably gonna get hate mail now. I don't know, do people still like Harry and Hermione? I don't know.
I think it's still a thing.
Canceling exams. I mean, this makes sense since no one's really learned anything this year. But Hermione's still upset. She's like, no exams.
I wonder if, like, the next year the Weasley twins are going to unleash a monster in the school to kill students just on the off chance that exams get canceled again. Like, he's setting a dangerous precedent.
We just have randomly have Hagrid come in. It's like this big deal. If you're watching this, I'm like, why didn't they make it such a big deal that Hagrid came back? Like, they're all clapping for him and everything. And it's just like, he just came back to work. Like, yeah.
Well, no, but he was in prison. He was in literal prison.
This is why they shouldn't have Ron doing this job.
Yeah.
Because putting all that pressure on a 12-year-old.
Ron should have given it to Hedwig. Hedwig is reliable. This is sober Hagrid. We'll never see this again.
Sober Hagrid. Anyway, there's a really heartfelt moment where Hagrid's like, there's no Hogwarts without you, Hagrid. And it's just like really emotional, but I'm just like, okay. Like, this is cute, but I don't know why they all start clapping.
I mean, it's a school. The students probably all learned where Hagrid was because gossip and stuff.
Gossip, yeah. Everyone's just clapping and they're having a heartfelt moment and they're just like interrupting it. Yeah, it's just very cheesy, but yeah, I get it. It's like the end of the last movie where everyone was like clapping and stuff because they want the house kept. They want like something kind of similar.
We have to end every movie with a round of applause.
Yeah. It's very cute. I do like how Hagrid's like shaking everyone's hands and stuff. I'm like, oh, Hagrid's like a celebrity now. He came back from Azkaban.
I love when Crabbe stands up to clap and then Draco pulls him down because it's kind of like it shows you how much they just follow peer pressure and like go with the flow, and that's why they kind of follow Draco. It's easier than making choices, and they're like, oh, everyone else is. Oh no, not us. Like it's such a.
Oh, Draco says no. I can't do it.
Okay, never mind. The boss says no.
But I love ending off with like the typical like musical score of Harry Potter.
Yeah. Classic Harry Potter scenery shot, the castle, the exterior.
We get so much Hogwarts exterior in this movie. I love it so much. And it all completely changes in the next movie.
Yup.
Yeah, I miss Chris Columbus directing. I think he did a really good job with like, especially like forming like the idea of family with the young kids. I think like especially it shows in this movie like how comfortable they were with each other. Especially knowing that they basically started recording this like as soon as the first film was done filming. Yeah. This is probably my favorite Harry Potter movie because it's not like the first one where they're setting everything up so it takes a long time to get to the action. Like here there's already action and the characters are already established, so everything's established. And the story's interesting, and it's still very close to the book, which is probably why these first two are my favorite because I follow the book
the books
so
are short enough that they can fit it all.
Yeah. And I do think it'll be interesting to see how I feel about Prisoner of Azkaban because that is a very hot topic in the fandom where people either hate it or they love it. It's just so like different from every other Harry Potter movie. So
yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, this one's probably my favorite.
I love that for you. I feel like I love not every Harry Potter movie. I love different Harry Potter movies when I'm in different moods.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Like if I'm not feeling well, I want to watch the first 3 Harry Potters because it feels like going home. You know, it's like having my mom make me a cup of soup and heat up a blanket in the dryer for me. Like, that's what the first 3 Harry
If I
Potter
want to
movies
get drunk,
feel like.
I watch the 6th movie. No, I never watched the 6th movie. Never watched the 6th movie. Yeah, I usually marathon the last 2 when I'm in like a big Harry Potter movie, but the first 3 are definitely ones that I watch more.
I feel like I've seen the 5th the least. Oh no, I've seen the 6th the least, but I don't consider that a thing. I've seen the 5th the least, besides the 6th, which doesn't count.
Yeah. So what would you rate this movie, like, out of 5 stars? I think we did it last time.
What would I rate this movie? 9.
Yeah, I think I rated the same.
Give it a 9. I don't have a lot of complaints.
Closely. Yeah, it's all good stuff. Like, I think any changes they did were...
And the things that I do like in the books that I would have liked to see just to have seen them were just for flavor. They didn't, not having them didn't subtract from the plot at all. So I can't hold against them.
Having Ginny's Valentine works in your favor.
Very happy that I didn't have to watch that. I would be miserable.
Yeah, so thank you for watching our movie review. And tune back in next time as we jump into Prisoner of Azkaban, the very first episode. And the first
I love Prisoner of Azkaban because there's a lot more Snape.
Yeah, lots of future for Snape's sex count.
Delicious.
Yeah, so if you have any questions or comments or things you liked and didn't like about this, let us know. You can reach us at Potter Revisited on social media and potterrevisitedpodcast at gmail.com. And we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.